Start this half hour with the latest on the storm cleanup. Dozens of homes damaged after this weekend's storms. 41 Action News anchor Mike Maruzar's live in Orrick, Missouri. And Mike, this area dealing with plenty of tornado damage and also a lot of flood damage as well.
That's right. The flooding and the storm damage, no doubt from a tornado, is pretty clear. This is the Merriman residents. They were asleep as the storm came through about 11:30 on Saturday night. And I can tell you, first of all, where I'm standing is completely wet. I mean, all of this is drywall, and you can see why. As that tornado hit, the roof started to peel back and really littering everything with insulation that was flying all over the place. This is the kitchen island. You can see the drywall that was knocked down completely. Everything back here is just so wet. And so as this family was sleeping, the grandmother who was staying in this back room had to dart across the house because her 12-year-old grandson was in the back bedroom here. Just to give you an idea of what kind of wind we're talking about, 127-mile-per-hour winds with this EF2 tornado. And as it was hitting, it hit the bathroom. And this is where the 12-year-old was sleeping. The grandmother comes in, yells tornado, he pops up, and the whole family tried to get into the basement. And this is what was left behind. You can see that the roof, again, peeled back, insulation everywhere, really kind of frozen in time of that night. You see the trash can tossed all over the place, and a lot of cleanup left to do here. But fortunately, nobody was injured. Nobody died in this storm. But that family, as they were trying to make their way to the basement, they had a pretty remarkable story, as they also had a 9-year-old girl in this house and the woman's husband. So they all came together to try to get below ground. But let's back up, Gio, and go back into the kitchen here, because coming up in about a half hour or so, you will hear from this family. You'll hear from the grandmother who is describing all of this happening, and she said just the sound of it was just remarkable, because it didn't sound like a train so much as just the whole house was shaking. And she described to me that because the roof was peeled back, the house was almost crying. Drips of rain were coming off of the fixtures, and then you can see what was left behind. There was also an interesting little tidbit about this that you'll hear coming up in about 30 minutes or so. But again, the cleanup underway here, as you mentioned, the flooding as well as blocked some of the access to some of the homes that suffered some damage as well. So we couldn't even get to those, but Ray County doesn't have an exact number on just how many homes were damaged or how many homes sustained some damage throughout the storm, but they, at least from what we've seen, it's been kind of concentrated. Nonetheless, pretty severe for this family. Live in Orrick, Missouri, Mike Maruzar's 41 Action News.